Yo, what up? Want to talk about this little topic, okay? Now, you had guys like um, Stephen A. Smith and Max Kellerman back at it again, all right? I'm going to show you how much of a hypocrite and how much they don't make sense, okay? Now, whenever you got a guy on your all-time greatest list, keyword, all time. That means he would be great in any era of basketball, okay? Now, they did one thing right. They said LeBron James will still put up similar numbers in the 80s and 90s, which is right, okay? If you're one of those people that don't think LeBron James wouldn't be successful in the 80s or 90s, you're on something, because if LeBron plays in the 80s, he's a top 5 player. If he plays in the 90s, he's a top 5 player, all right? No matter what era you put him in, he's going to put up them same pretty much dominant numbers. Now, the free throw shooting is something that will carry on to any generation. I mean, he wouldn't be a good free throw shooter in any era, right? But keep in mind, you have guys that say, oh, he wouldn't fare good against the bad boy Detroit Pistons, blah, 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 blah. Listen, if guys like Karl Malone and all these other guys were embodiments of what LeBron James is physically, they did good, they averaged 25 a game, then so could LeBron, okay? LeBron, unlike Karl Malone, could get his own shot off better and go to the basket better, all right? Now, you have guys like saying stuff like, okay, LeBron, would, if he played in the 90s, he'd get waxed by Jordan every year. Winning a championship is a team accomplishment, okay? So what are you actually saying, okay? Even if LeBron gets outplayed by Jordan, it depends on what team are we talking about. If you zap LeBron on the Cleveland Cavaliers from the 90s with Mark Price, Brad Daugherty, Larry Nance, all them other dudes, Ron Harper, they're a championship contending team with LeBron, because those other guys on that team were all-stars, okay? Brad Daugherty was an all-star for a couple seasons. Mark Price was an all-star for a couple seasons. So you mean to tell me a team with LeBron James, who had been an all-star in the 90s, 3 all-stars, is not enough to compete for a championship? Are you on something? You know, I think we get caught up in this LeBron hate too much. And you could tell from a lot of people on YouTube that get caught up in this LeBron hate that don't make any sense, okay? You know, they sit there and say, LeBron's not this, he's not that. He can't survive in the 90s due to physicalness. You guys act like the physicalness is not something he doesn't go do, or he doesn't reflect on his opponents himself. Okay? How many times have you LeBron haters say all LeBron does is bulldoze towards the basket? He uses his power and athletic ability to score because he's physical. Keyword, physical. Okay? So LeBron James plays a physical game anyway. So you're pitting him in an era where he's allowed to be physical on somebody. What you think he's going to do? This is not a guy from the suburbs. This is a guy from the projects of Akron. Okay? I think he's used to playing physical basketball. Hard knock basketball, okay? If you play playground basketball, you from the block. You already know how to play physical basketball. You're used to it. It's embedded in you. And you can't have it both ways. You can't tell me LeBron is not a great basketball player because he's not physical. He's soft. But then say the next minute all he does is bulldozes people and bullies them and plays bully ball. Somebody that plays bully ball is playing physical ball. You know, are you on something? No, don't make any damn sense. You know? What if LeBron James was on the Showtime Lakers? You mean to tell me they won't be beating the Bulls? Even if Jordan dropping 60 a game, LeBron be the one coming out with the victory at the end of the day because he has a better team. What if LeBron James was on the Celtics? You mean to tell me LeBron James with Larry Bird and all them guys wasn't going to win the championship? Are you nuts? But you have LeBron on your top 5 already. So him being on your top 5 with another all-time great Larry Bird, That's not enough to win the championship? Are you on something? Can't have it both ways. What if Len Bias never passed away? A guy that was perceived as being better than Jordan because he outplayed Jordan in college. This is where that narrative came from. You mean to tell me, let's say he lived, let's say, and LeBron was around, let's say the Celtics had all those guys, you know, still out of forwards, you know, somebody would have to make a little adjustment to play another position, but you could move LeBron to the one then, right? LeBron James would have been your Magic Johnson. He had been your point guard. Len Bias had been your 4. Larry Bird would have been your 3. Then you have Kevin McHale and Robert Parrish, okay? One of those guys would have to be your 5. And you will have one of those guys coming off the bench. You're going to sit here and tell me that they wouldn't win a championship? Now, flip that around. You could have LeBron James at your 1, move Larry Bird to the 2. Len Bias at the 4. You know, you have plenty of ways you could switch that around, you know? Actually, no, you could pick Kevin McHale at the 4, Len Bias at the 3, and because that's what he originally was anyway. You have him at the 3 and have Robert Parrish at the 5. That starting lineup would beat just about anybody in the 90s. That's an all-star lineup. You mean to tell me that they wouldn't be able to beat the Bulls? Come on now, man. Come on now. Let's be a little more realistic when we criticize players and talk about stuff. You know, this get off my lawn biased behavior is getting kind of annoying because things do evolve. I'm old school. I'm from I rep the 80s and 90s, but I'm not going to be that naive to say a certain player wouldn't do good in a certain era just because he's from today. That's ridiculous and stupid. You know, that make no damn sense. You know, and you got guys here talking about, well, you know, LeBron wouldn't survive in the 90s, but you got Kobe surviving in the 80s and 90s, right? Don't make no damn sense. But you constantly compare the two. So if you constantly compare the two, that means they're both equal then, right? And then you got people saying, you know, Kobe's the closest thing to Jordan. I only compare Kobe to Jordan. So if you only compare Kobe to Jordan, why are you constantly making videos that dictate LeBron James versus Michael Jordan? I tell you why. Because that person knows if they do videos, Jordan versus Kobe, let's say you get an extreme Kobe fan to debate you, you know, a Kobe tard like they used to talk about back in the day, right? You know, if you do a Kobe versus Michael Jordan debate, you have to make a pick. You have to pick a side. And since that side you may pick is Jordan, people are going to label you as a Kobe hater because you're constantly picking Jordan over Kobe, all right? And that means you will have to constantly make videos debating Kobe Bryant versus Michael Jordan, right? And since that person really is a Kobe fanboy, worships the ground Kobe walks on, he can't be seen or caught dead saying Kobe Bryant is this and that, because if you constantly make videos saying how better Jordan is than Kobe, then people will label you as that, a Kobe hater, because you have to take a pick. And since he doesn't want to do that, it's easy for him to make videos talking bad about LeBron. This is what these haters do. It's easy to make videos about saying how better Jordan is over LeBron because that person has a bias towards LeBron to begin with anyway. Okay? As simple as that, you know? I make LeBron versus Jordan debate videos, but guess what? I never go about to making every video about LeBron James versus another player to degrade LeBron James. Okay? I said Jordan's better than LeBron. I said that over 1 million times. but it's not better to a point that you can't have a debate with the two. They still are debatable, you know, because there is some things that LeBron edged Jordan in, but I think Jordan edged LeBron in more things. That's the only difference, you know. And of course, one guy won more. But what you guys think? Holla at me. Peace.